By moving our data to the cloud, Mimecast does put in good security parameters. If we needed more storage, it came with the solution. And there were some things they've kind of thrown in. They're just naturals that I would assume that any provider that is searching all of your email on a daily basis, storing it, has the ability to easily do. I think it actually made it easier going to a hosted solution than keeping it on the premises. We are a paper converting manufacturer, which means that we convert paper products into a finished good. Two of the main products we do are wipes and coffee filters. We have facilities, 4 facilities in the US for doing manufacturing. We have 1 facility in the European operations that does wipes only. And we also have an operations located over in the Far East area that does our wipes also. Our IT department here at Rockline is actually very critical to operations. We run 24/7, 365 days a year. A few years ago, email probably would have just been considered another tool. But we are seeing that not only ourselves, many organizations are using email as a critical tool for doing communications. As you can see, we're in Rockline's computer room up here. We have quite of a large room built about 6 years ago. This room at one point was fairly full. Over the last few years, we've eliminated some of our square footage we needed for disk space. Moving completely to the cloud, basically having some other service, storing all of our data was definitely a stretch for us. We had never gone down that path. After trying that type of a service, we found it worked very well for us. We have 3 main sites in around the globe that have email servers at them. If we had to do an on-premise solution, those email servers would have to have a solution at each location, which of course raises your cost to deploy that solution. With a cloud-based solution, you point your email servers at the destination. We didn't have to actually put in more appliances. It was easier to manage, and hopefully long-term, one of the biggest reasons we went to this is a lot more cost-effective. The reason we chose Mimecast is cost. We found the implementation costs, the support cost, and the yearly cost to be very affordable. All the data was there. If we needed more storage, it came with the solution. There were other criteria, of course, how easily can we look up stuff? That was a big one, especially for our HR department. The biggest one I think the IT department liked was completely removing PSTs from people's systems, or the reliance on a PST. The setup of Mimecast was a very simple tool. It actually took us basically 14 days to set it up. If I had rushed and worked really hard working with Mimecast and our staff here, we probably could have completed those in about 2 to 3 days. It was really that simple to do. Some of the interesting reports that we have available to us within the Mimecast tools is, example here is the Mimecast rejection. It'll tell us what was rejected from our email system. Rejections by recipient, if we have a specific recipient in-house that's getting a lot of blocked emails. The other thing we use it for, which I have used before, is connections by type and recipient. Once again, what we may use this for is if someone who is actually sending email to an outside address and they have basically an internal relay off of their PC, we can monitor through this. So it helps us to identify these types of activities that can be considered questionable within Rockline. If our email system had ever went down for whatever the reason, it could be power, could be a flood, fire, any of those. Recently had an ice storm at our Arkansas facility which knocked out power geographically to an area. Having the Mimecast tool in place, we were actually able to send and receive email right from their laptops when they're working from home. Most of the people either at home, a few of them had generators, but a lot of them in a few areas had power or they went to hotels. With that, they were still able to communicate. Our outside vendors, your partners, the people at the other sites were able to communicate efficiently with them and still do business. The way we check and measure our success is through how well has the product been accepted within our organization. And I think we've heard back from many of the staff members that they find it fairly easy to use. Being a web-based product, they could access it from work or home, which many of them really enjoy too. And I think from what I've heard from people, I would have to say yes, it probably is producing good results. I would recommend Mimecast to anyone who is evaluating looking at an email archival tool, and anyone that has a need when they have an HR organization that comes and says, can we look up this? One of the things I have never mentioned is the Mimecast does do filtering for spam, spyware, viruses that come into email. We also got the PST removal, and there were some things, if you want to say, were kind of thrown in for free, if you want to call it that. They're just naturals that I would assume that any provider that is searching all of your email on a daily basis, storing it, has the ability to easily do. So we found that to be a very big plus.